So let's talk theater first. You've done quite a bit of theater before, but it's been, is it 20 years?
It's been a minute. I stopped counting because I started getting sad about it. I was like, wait a minute, when was the last time I did this? But yeah, it's been about 20 years since Topdog Underdog.
Your movie career kind of got in the way of coming back, do you think?
I did a lot of things in the last 20 years, but it was never far away from my mind. I'd always really, it's my first love, as you said, and it's something that I knew that I wanted to do. It was just like, when's the timing going to be right? I was raising a family at the same time and doing a lot of stuff. My wife's very busy, and it just the opportunity never presented itself quite like it has this time around. So I'm very excited about it.
It's kismet.
Yep.
Did producing Strange Loop kind of get those juices going? Like, oh, I want to do this again.
I mean, yes. I can't take a lot of credit for it. We didn't have any real creative input. We were just really in a supportive, position as producers on the play, which we thought was incredible and just so inventive and original and just brave and amazing and all that, everything that it was. But it did. It was like, oh, yeah, that's this. I want to get back in there, and it kind of did start that ball rolling again for sure.
You've compared acting to like a car with gears. I'm going to kind of mess it up a little bit, but that you want to try out all the different gears. Mm-hmm. So what muscles does this allow you to flex that movies and TV maybe don't?
There's no do-overs. You can't stop and go. I mean, you could, but that's not a really good look. I'm going to go back and pick that up again. No, don't do that. And just the live experience of it is something that's just unparalleled. You can't get it anywhere else, really. I mean, doing 3-camera stuff, when you're doing sitcom stuff and you've got a live audience there, it's the closest thing that approximates it, I think. But there's just nothing like, 9,000 people in a theater and the lights down and they're right there and you can see them past the footlights and you feel their energy, they feel your energy. And I love when mistakes happen in plays. I love when something goes wrong because the immediacy, it's like we all have to like make an agreement together and keep going. And as long as you don't make a face, no one really knows. They're there for the experience and everyone's suspending their disbelief and buying into this moment. So it's just always a magical thing. And I'm gassed about getting back.
That's great. People love that uniqueness to it, right? Absolutely. You're never going to see the same performance twice. They're so special.
That's it.
You have played so many different characters that resonate with people in so many different movies that resonate with people. I'd imagine that when you walk down the street, 5 different people could come up to you and say 5 different things that meant something to them. Is that kind of what happens?
I used to try to play a game, like when they would come up, I'd like try and profile them a little bit and go, wait a minute, let me tell you what you're going to say before you say it. And I was right a lot of the time. But yeah, I've been very fortunate, very blessed, lucky, all of the words, to have a really, long career and to play a lot of different things, a lot of different characters and characters that have been impactful for people and characters that in some ways have really changed the trajectory of my life too. Doing a movie like Hotel Rwanda, what it did outside of, the experience of making the movie and the community it, sort of pulled me into, and the sort of awakening that I had about these issues that were happening in the world, and not just in Africa, but human rights issues everywhere. It was one of those situations where you do something, as entertainment, and it, trampolines you into some other place that's really substantive and has a lot of weight, and you understand kind of the transformative, power of storytelling sometimes, and what it can do and how it can benefit the world beyond just what you're doing in a movie for an hour and a half.
That's so true. That was so enlightening. And I mean, launched your activism and opened so many people's eyes.
Absolutely. Yeah, opened my eyes. Like I said, it brought me into a pool of activism and advocacy that had been going on long before I got there. And I really got to see, oh, this is the power of celebrity in this way, that, people want to put a camera in front of you and put a mic in front of you, and you have the ability to say, you're looking at me, look at that, and that's really, I think, some of the best use of what we do.
Nicely put. I want to talk about Hotel Rwanda, but I want to go back first to the very beginning.
Yes.
Your dad was a psychologist, your mom an educator.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing you got some pretty great advice growing up.
I mean, yeah, but very subtle. You know what I mean? I think the biggest advice I got was to just, speak up and stand up for yourself and be present, and you get to be who you are. Just it was just sort of the everyday messaging. And I also had the luxury, the love to talk in my family. It wasn't just sit down and shut up or do what I say. We could discuss it. You still had to do it, but we could talk about it, and I was able to have a voice inside my family. So I think that was something that I've tried to model for my kids and try to do for them, and I think it was invaluable as I grew older. I didn't know it at the time how much it would mean for me.
Yeah. Do you think, have you always had a certain confidence?
I don't know if it's confidence as much as I just knew that, you know, my dad had a real quiet strength, and he's the best man I've ever known, and my mom's strength was a little more on the front foot, and she was very vocal about, who and what we were, and how we had a right to be and own our space. And it wasn't like a confidence as much as I felt like this is the birthright. This is how you're supposed to behave, and you're supposed to stick up for people, and you're supposed to, if you see something that's not right, say that ain't right. I don't have to just go along with that. And so I always felt like I had the right to have autonomy. And I know a lot of people aren't raised that way, and a lot of people don't have that. And I was like, wow, my parents gave me agency very early, and I'm really happy about that.
That's great. And you mentioned that they were always on the same page. You couldn't pit mom against dad.
Well, I didn't know that if they were always on the same page, but I knew that it was them against us. It's like you ain't gonna like split us up with this drama. You're good. You got to go figure that out. Yeah.
Are you and Bridget the same way? Are you on the same page?
I mean, if we're not, and it's something that I think it cut both ways in my house, that, I never really saw my parents fight. There were never these knockdown, drag out fights in front of us. And there were never these, disagreements that were obvious. As you get older and you reflect, you're like, oh, I think that's what was going on in that other room. But we didn't know it at the time, which was, it was good because it made us feel safe. But it was also, I didn't really learn in some ways how to fight, and that every fight didn't mean it was over. So in some ways that wasn't modeled for me, and I had to learn that, and I had to grow, and we had to grow together, Bridget and I, to like figure out how to navigate all that stuff. 30 years later, yeah, it's, you get it, but it was, it was challenging. We had to go through it, and, we went to couples therapy, and we really worked at our relationship. So we always knew that we wanted to be like that with our children, where we wanted to make sure that we had a united front. And sometimes that mean we'd have to shut the door and like go at it to come to the way we were going to do something. But we always presented for them, this is what we've come to as a family, as the way we should do things.
That's great. When you were in fifth grade, is that when you fell in love with theater?
Fifth, sixth grade, yeah, that's when I, famously played Templeton the Rat. I'm sure you've seen the notices.
Of course.
And Charlotte's Web, yeah, it was all the rage. And the Denver Post and the Rocky Mountain Times. Yeah, that's kind of when I officially got the bug.
What was it about that? Like, do you remember that feeling of standing there as Templeton?
I do. I remember, for some reason, like, you remember when you used to use the mimeograph to like, sort of like getting my pages and seeing my part and underlining my part, and no one had told me to do any of this stuff. I just kind of felt like, imagining what it would be like to be a rat, and when you're at the fair, like, what do you eat first? Is the rat the old hot dogs first? You eat the popcorn first? And he sings about all this stuff, and having this moment on stage and the costume and singing the affair is a veritable smorgasbord, and the response from the audience. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. There's something happening here. There's something happening in the relationship between me and them that I'd never felt before and didn't really understand, but I I was like, feels right for me. And that kind of started it all. Yeah.
When you went to Cal Arts, what was kind of the goal or the dream?
I think it was just to keep doing it, keep pursuing it, keep getting better, uh, get a lot of experience. It was for acting, it was between Cal Arts and Carnegie Mellon. And I think I just didn't want to be in winters keep being in warm winters. I was coming out of Colorado. I was like, I'm cool on snow for a while. And just getting to do so much work and so many different kinds of plays and writing plays and producing plays and mounting plays ourselves, directing, all of that experience that I had at CalArts was invaluable. And I really didn't know that it would lead to something else. I thought I was just going to be doing regional theater maybe for my whole life. I didn't have like, and I'm going to be an actor, I'm going to be in movies and TV. But I mean, I knew it was possible, but there was no real plan, no chart for that.
Just act somehow in regional whatever.
Yeah, I always wanted to be a character actor. I wanted to do a bunch of different things and go from, as far from this over here as I could over here and just get this breadth of experience in playing people.
Was there a moment in your career where you felt like, okay, this kind of parlaying one into the other is actually happening? Was there a moment when you thought, okay, now I have some traction?
Tuesday. I mean, really, we have this, every time you do the last thing, you're like, well, that's it,
You really feel that way?
I think it's hard. It's not that I would say it at some point that I could point to it being rational and logical, but you don't know that it's just going to keep happening just because it has been happening. There's no promise that you're going to get to do the next thing. And of course, as you get older, you're like, whoa, where's that pocket for me? I'm gone from playing the sons to playing the dads. And at some point, you hope that you can go from playing the dads to the granddads if you want to keep doing it, But yeah, there's no promise in this business. And every time that we're finished with a project, we're unemployed. I don't show up to the office Monday after we wrap. It's like, what's the next thing? And I've been working pretty consistently for, 40 years. And I think it's the first time I've kind of sat down for some months without, I'm still developing things and writing things, and there's behind the scenes work all the time, but not being in front of the camera, not actually embodying a part and performing. It's the first time that I've had this much time before going into something, and it's been revelatory in a lot of ways.
How so?
Well, just that engine, that hamster wheel, realizing that, that is a real thing, that what's the next thing? I got to get to the next thing. What's the next thing? That, like I said, is just hardwired in you as an actor when you start in this business, for sure.
And how does it feel to be off the hamster wheel?
I don't know that I'm totally off of it. And after, and if everything that's lined up happens after this play, it's going to be like back to back, which be something else to navigate. But it's been nice, and then seeing the contrast, Bridget's working like 3 jobs. She's doing like everything, and I'm at the crib, and she comes home, the hair, like, how was your day? I was like, I don't even want to tell her. I was like, fantastic, I didn't do anything, I got to play music, and, I've been playing my bass a lot more and playing keyboards and composing and golf and just kind of hang out and kick it on the couch and just look out at the water and just relax,
That's nice.
It is. It has been nice.
Along those same lines, talking about the business, you did a string of movies that kind of started to put you on the map. Devil in a Blue Dress, Traffic after that. There were a couple right in a row.
Yeah, there was a couple years. I don't remember what they were, but it was just like boom,
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And then in 2001, you say, I'm going to go back east and do an off-Broadway play.
Yeah.
Were people telling you, no, you can't do that right now?
I mean, they may have. I didn't listen, clearly. So I think by the time I went to do Topdog, Underdog, there was no question that I was going to do it. And, Suzanne Laurie Parks and George Wolfe and working with Jeffrey Wright. It was like, again, the auspices of that experience were so incredible that there was no step back. There was no, that wasn't a derailing of the train. That was just more fuel and more energy and more experience and more knowledge to, again, hopefully make me better when I do come back and do anything else.
And the train certainly kept going.
Yeah.
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 In fact, right after that or during that was the first Oceans.
Was it?
It was
I
right
don't
around the
recall.
same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
When we look at those movies as outsiders, it looks to us like from the very get, you guys were all dear friends. But how many of those guys did you know going into the first Oceans?
I knew George because we'd done Out of Sight. I knew Matt.
Did you guys immediately click?
We kind of did. I mean, I think everyone realized how much fun it was going to be, and Jerry Weintraub put it together, and he's the P.T. Barnum of movies, and he created a playground for us to really just go in, and Steven Soderbergh, fantastic, and the cast really, when we talked about, it's like no egos could be involved because the people that were assembled, like if anybody stuck out and tried to like flex, it'd be like, what are you doing? So everybody got along, and we all realized how lucky we were and how fortunate we were to have this experience. So yeah, pretty quickly we all just kind of gelled and started working. And Steven also creates that environment where he's about the work and he's not about any of that other stuff. So you kind of get your cues from the people that are, running it and putting it together. You're like, oh, this is how we're going to work. 10-hour days. Every day we were home, shot fast, wasn't precious about stuff. And just like, again, you just realized how fortunate you were to be there.
It's just fun.
Fun.
When those movies come on TV, my family has to watch them. Like we must. It doesn't matter how many times we've seen them, whichever one it is, we have to watch them. When they come on TV, do you stop and watch them?
No.
Why not?
I don't watch things I'm in.
You don't watch any of it?
I mean, not really, no.
Why not?
Well, we're looking at different things. Do you know what I mean? I'll watch movies I'm in, and then when I come on, I'm like, you remember when you could call back and hear your answering machine and hear your voice come back and like, zzz. Imagine that now, like 40 feet tall and in a movie, and it's just, it makes you insecure in some ways. I think many actors don't want to see their work played back. It's like, I did that, I blew that take, they used it, I don't know why you used that take, you should have come from that, whatever. I did that, let me just move on to the next thing. And I'm glad people enjoyed it, and they didn't make it for me. I wasn't the target audience, and I can't look at it objectively, so the next thing.
That's cool. And now you're together again for Ocean's 14?
We are? Is there another one? Did they tell you something?
Come on, you must know something. Is there anything you can share?
I know there's talk. I know there's, a script. I know that
Have you seen the
there's
script?
plans. Oh, of course.
Is it exciting?
I could tell you, but then I would have to kill you.
All right, fine. I don't want that to happen.
No, we don't want that.
No.
Not here. It's so public, cameras and everything.
There are a couple of movies, I think Hotel Rwanda is one of them, where, as I understand it, you told the producers, hey, I understand if you get a more bankable star, I still want to be part of this project.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
When I met our director, I told him that, Terry George. He'd been going around trying to get the financing for this movie for a minute, and he told me when I sat down with me, he said, look, I love you, Don, I think you're great, but if Will Smith says he's gonna do this, I'm gonna do it with Will Smith. If Cuba Gooding Jr. says I'm gonna do it with him. I'm gonna do it with whoever can get this story told, because I'm passionate about this story, and it needs to be told. And I said, I'm 100% in agreement. I said, I think I'm the best person for it, and I think that you should cast me, but if you don't, I still would love to help you produce this and put this together, because I had never heard this story. I knew nothing about this. And I, it's so compelling. I was like, I just want to be a part of helping to get it made. So yeah, I did tell him that, and thankfully it came my way.
You got an Oscar nomination for Hotel Rwanda. That will be, I'm pretty sure it's on the proof bio, Oscar nominee Don Cheadle. But how much does that mean to you personally?
I mean, it's great to be recognized, for your work and have people appreciate what you've done, and it's so important, like I'm saying, for the project. And that's something I was not aware of, what that nomination means for the project, sometimes more than the win, So yeah, that matters. And I'm very wary of feeding my ego in that way. And you don't want it to be about what you're going to get as a result of you doing something. You want to do the things that, look, the one thing, no matter what you get, that you can't buy back and you can't get back is time. So you want to know that you've spent your time doing something that you believe in and feel good about, and it's not transactional. I do this because I'm passionate about it, and I want to be a part of it, and I want to work with this person, and I want to tell this story. Whatever happens after that happens.
Makes sense.
But I really hope I can. Did that come out? Did you hear that? Did that come out of my mouth?
You've also been in we talked about Oceans, you've been in the Avengers movies as well. And I know you've told this story, but it's too precious, so I have to touch on it.
Okay.
You were offered the Avengers movie in the middle of one of your daughter's birthday parties?
Yes. A laser tag party, famously. Yeah.
So you only had how much time to decide?
Well, first they said an hour, and I said, I'm at my kid's birthday party. They said, oh, take 2 hours.
So I'm trying to imagine, are you literally like playing laser tag and trying to discuss with Bridget what you're gonna do?
Yeah, kinda. Yeah. We talked about it, and then we went into the party, and we were like, so what do you think? How long? I don't know how long. Oh, you got me. Reset. Yeah, that's kind of what it was.
What were the considerations? What were you thinking about?
Well, at that time, there was really it was just like three of these and 2 of these. And, when you start doing the math, I'm like, that's going to be 10 years.
Big chunk of your life.
Yeah. And where's the character going? What's the storyline? What happens? They're like, we don't know any of that stuff, but you in or you out? So it was a real decision to make, because saying yes to that, I was like, that's going to be saying no to a lot of other stuff that might come up that I don't know, and I don't want to have to make that, which we always have to make, but I'm imagining all these things I'm turning down because I've got a commitment to do this for 10 years. So it was a lot to think about, but obviously I said yes.
What tipped it?
I think just knowing that we didn't have a crystal ball, and I didn't, it was the thing that was in front of me, and it was exciting, and it was interesting, and the potential for what it could be, and where the character could go, and what the possibilities were interesting. And it kind of, like I was saying, when I was going to do the theater, I was like, but this is here now.
I want to talk a little bit about this space that we're in.
Yes.
Bridget created this.
Yes, she did. And I hope you guys have the opportunity to do some cutaways and really see what she's created. It's beautiful and a testament to her vision, and something that, she started pre-COVID and then was able to reboot after COVID. Not the best time to have a co-working space, but, was able to reboot and reimagine and put energy back into it and find great people to work with, and just create this beautiful space where there's community, and there's a collective, and there's culture, and there's commerce and creativity, and it's just all the C words, all the good ones.
Nicely put.
Thank you.
The two of you were together for a long time and you didn't get married until COVID, at a time when so many people broke up.
I know.
It brought you two closer together?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was such obviously a tragic time for so many people. And for me personally, I lost my father during that time, and other friends that we lost during that time. And it was just so, like I said, so tragic for so many people. And as you said, so devastating for a lot of relationships and people being parked under each other for 24 hours a day who are like, I guess I don't really like you, And so there was a lot of pain that happened, but I think there was also a lot of what happened for us, like this resetting and level setting, right? Where you realize what's important. And it's cliche to say, but it's the truth, your priorities really get tested, and you understand that, it's my family and it's my friends and it's my experience with these people. Those are the things that really matter, and all the material stuff, it's great, fine, it's great to have, but it's not going to protect you, and that's not going to sustain you, and it's not going to prevent these things that are happening from happening to you. So what do you really want to hold on to at the end of the day? And again, I just feel very fortunate and blessed that we were able to turn toward each other and find that strength in each other and our kids and our friends, and that it just made everybody in my circle tighter and more connected.
Do you think that it's partly because you lost your dad? Do you think that kind of made you think about, it must make you think about things differently. I know when I lost my father, it makes you look at the world differently.
Yeah, and you feel like unmoored in a way, And my mother before that, not from COVID, but yeah, when you don't have your parents anymore, there is of course there's a huge hole, but for me, it's really, and I talk to him every day and I look at pictures of them every day, and I'm not super religious, but I do hope I will see them again in some form, and I do hope we're reunited, and it does spin your compass around, and you have to kind of figure out oh wow, I'm not tethered. You don't realize how tethered you were to them, right? And the history and the connection that you have. Even if you don't talk to them all the time, don't see them all the time, but you just know they're there, and then they're not there. And it's like, what is that? Who am I? What does that mean? Who am I to my kids? What's the connection to just all of that stuff that gets just churned up when that happens?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's beautiful that you kind of, as you said, it brought you to
I feel very lucky.
each other.
I feel very lucky because it, like we said, it wasn't the same for a lot of people. And it wasn't the same for a lot of people that I know.
Proof is about this great mathematician's legacy, in a way. Do you think about your own legacy?
No, not really. Legacy in terms of what you leave behind for others to point at and go, wow, you did something. I think you just want to be a good person, right? If your legacy is like, wow, that's a pretty good person, and I felt seen by this person, and they listened to me, and I shared great times with this person, and I felt a lot of love. It's like that to me, if that's the legacy, then I'm like, I win. You just want to be there for the people that matter to you and that have set you on your path and are the reason you are who you are.
You didn't mention anything about movies or anything like that.
No, those are what they are. That's the work. For me, there's nothing to be like, Like, you did it, you did your job, good. It's like when all these guys celebrate after they tackle somebody and they're screaming and yelling. I'm like, that's what you're there to do. That's your job. So I just want to do my job, and hopefully that will be the legacy. He was at work on time. He was good to the people that were around him. He was a great castmate. He was generous of his time, and he really showed up. It's like that's a great legacy.